right there. Welcome to BoxTheBase. I'm your host Vic. That's my co-host Josh. We just got through an intro segment that never hit record. That's my bad. But um, there's a lot of news to talk about. We were talking about Players Weekend, how there's a ton of news coming out about the league, and we're obviously gonna get into the Marlins and a lot of interesting like playoff implication stuff in terms of injuries, and just a lot of stuff for the future of the league in terms of its streaming, its formatting, all of that. But we were before I realized that it never started recording. We were talking about Jacob Marcy, so I want to go back and mention that amongst outfielders in the MLB, he debuted on August 1st. He leads in average, OBP, slugging, OPS, and doubles. I mean, this guy has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and to basically summarize what I said before we realized that we weren't recording, um, yeah, I mean, and what we didn't mention when we initially started the podcast was he actually debuted on August 1st. So, who is the last rookie to win Player of the Month in the month that they debuted? That would be a insane stat to pull up because I can't remember the last time that happened.
Yeah, I'll
So
do I'll do my best to try and find it, but I also want to mention, I mean, this is a guy who he's a sixth round pick from the Padres. You know, I'd be surprised if many people knew about him as much. I mean, unless you're really just into prospects like that. And it was a big I guess you could say debate type of thing when we traded Luis Arias and we got back Jacob Marcy and Dylan Head, who, by the way, just to mention the other half of that trade, Dylan Head he recently got promoted to high A ball, so I guess that's a positive sign. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of like what is happening in the moment when he first got traded over. But I mean, and honestly, he didn't have the best of year last year, even though that was kind of like an outlier year if you compare it to his other years in the minors, because it was like one down year compared to better years in the past. And this year, he honestly was playing a lot better, especially at the time of his call up. I mean, he was at what 14 home runs already in in the minors. He had like 47 stolen bases, which I'm excited to see those stolen bases, start to rack up a little more. I don't think he's shown the speed as much. He's had moments, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure last night he stole a base or something. And he's had a few stolen bases here and there, but once he finally starts finding his footing in that department, because that's probably the one place he hasn't shown off. He's shown off the power, he's shown off the defense, he's shown off the ability to walk, which has always been a big thing about his game. But it's really that. He I'm just excited to see him add those steals, when they start to happen more or come up more. But I mean, I don't know if you want to mention any of like his top moments, moments that have stood out to you of him.
yeah, I mean, before the season essentially fell apart after the Yankee series, I think that his debut series was probably the best part so far, in my opinion. He's been uh, he was electric even in that first series, working the walks, working the count. The crowd was behind them. And then of course you can't forget to mention that absolutely insane game that he had in Cleveland, uh, with the I believe it was two home runs. He had a double as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's had a lot of electric moments for a guy that just debuted less than 30 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has been amazing, and honestly, it's just incredible what he's done. I mean, he looks like a steady bat already in an MLB lineup, which is not something you see a lot from rookies, and it's just encouraging because it proves also that this front office knows how to evaluate talent. Knows how to find talent, knows how to trade, knows how to just evaluate talent and use him properly. I mean, it was obvious because he was playing super well in the minors, and he was obviously going to be the one called up when Jesus Sanchez was traded away. And honestly, it's just, to me also, it's not only the fact that they can evaluate talent, but it's the fact that, I mean, in the minors, he's a left-handed bat, by the way. So in the minors, he didn't have that good of numbers versus left-handed pitching, and I mean, he's come up and it seemingly hasn't mattered. His first game was against Carlos Rodon from the Yankees. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Rondon, but he's a good lefty, and he's not an easy lefty to face in your MLB debut. I mean,
He hasn't spared anyone, righty, lefty, ambidextrous. It hasn't mattered. He's taken everyone on the chin, and let me tell you, it's been fun to watch.
yeah, I mean, maybe you could say in this Cardinal series we start to see a little bit of evening out, because there were moments where he might have expanded the zone, struck out here and there. But honestly, for a player with his play discipline, I think it's it's gonna be hard to watch him slump a lot, because I think if he just never expands his zone and gets like starts swinging at everything, if he doesn't lose his style of play, his way of playing, yeah, he might go through slumps. I mean, I expect him to. It's 162 games. I think it's impossible to not go through slumps at some point in the season, but I think his are gonna be small and easy to break out of, especially with him being able to take a walk and not swinging at everything.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun to see him throw a full 162 next year.
And by the way, you were asking about the last rookie to win Player of the Month. I can't find necessarily in their debut month, but the last rookie to win Player of the Month at any point was Aaron Judge in 2017. So I'm not saying. I
He's in
mean,
good company.
I'm not saying he's Aaron Judge, but he's definitely in good rookie company right there.
He sure is. That's a nice stat.
And a few other things to talk about here quickly is Kyle Stowers. His season is likely over, which absolutely is devastating. I don't know if any of you saw the interview clip after the game when it was announced, but I mean, you can hear it in his voice. Like, he was heartbroken about it. Clearly, he's having probably the best season he's ever had playing baseball. Not just as a pro, but I would say in all his life
Yeah.
playing. I mean, being a major leaguer, and he has like what 25, 27 home runs. I forget exactly what he's at. And he's won Player of the Month. He's won Player of the Week twice. I mean, he's probably gonna win a Silver Slugger award out there. I'd have to go and really compare the numbers, but I think he'd be in the running for that. Obviously, I'm not saying he would have won MVP, but he was definitely in the MVP discussion with the way he was playing. But yeah, it just kind of sounds like he's not really gonna make it back this year. I mean, it's gonna be a couple of weeks, and then what? Towards the end of September to just ramp him up and bring him
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, it looks like his year is probably done. And what a year it was though. And what a year it was. I mean, probably one of the more fun years I've seen out of a player wearing a Marlins uniform. Uh the last one of course being Luis Arias when he was in that batting title season, which was
Yeah,
fun too. Um, but definitely, I would put this up there in one of the more exciting player performances throughout the season, just because who would have said before the season that Kyle Stowers is going to have this type of season?
nobody.
So nobody. So it was electric for a lack of a better word.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it's not only that he's had a great season and he's hit all these homers and everything. It was like literally from day one, from opening day, he had that walk off, and it was like, okay, it's his, to give some kind of context and backstory to this. He wasn't great last year when he came over here. He looked completely lost at the plate. It was like, okay, you give him the off season, he works with coaches, gets some work in, whatever. Spring training didn't look great at all. Like, it was like how in the world is he gonna make the roster with that slash line? He was batting under 200 in spring training. It was insane. But the one thing that did look good is that he had the walks, and you're like, okay, that's something to build off of, I guess. But it was opening day. I mean, he had that walk off, and it's a season not only that has been filled with home runs and all its moments. The walk off,
Yeah.
the homer off of Mason Miller, going to the All-Star game. He's had multiple two multi-homer games. The one in LA, the one in Chicago. Then he had the All-Star game,
The one
obviously.
in Baltimore.
The one in Baltimore as well versus his former team. He had, I mean, the All-Star game where things lined up perfectly and he was in the swing off and he hit a home run in that too. He had the walk off of Estevez. I mean, this was a guy who was not only putting up a great season but putting up moments, and that's what I think is gonna stand out and make him memorable because you obviously remember somebody like Stanton putting up that MVP season, but it's like maybe it's been long enough, but certain guys who've had great seasons with this team, it's like, how many times can you pinpoint moments like that where it's not just a home run, it's like walk-offs, big-time homers, grand slams, multi-homer games. It's it's incredible. I mean, I don't know if you'd like to pick out a favorite one of his, but I think I know mine for sure.
The favorite one that I have of his, I think would probably be the homer off of Estevez for the walk off.
That one I
That
think was pretty cool, and honestly, I would probably agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that on a whim I decided to go to the first City Connect game, and I was there to watch him hit the freaking what grand slam was it off of Mason Miller.
Mason Miller,
I
yeah,
was
that
literally
was
there.
a great one.
Yeah, I was literally all there by myself, and it was literally down. I mean, I saw Mason Miller come in the game, and I'm like, we're done, we're done. This game is lost. I mean, Mason Miller's electric out of the bullpen. It was still early in the season. I had no idea what this team was made of, really. Even though we had some moments, I just wasn't sure. It was still felt all unsure.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's been incredible what he's done. So honestly, it kind of sucks to have his season end on a sour note with an injury, but still a heck of a year,
hats
and
off to him for sure.
you can't take that away. Then the other bullet point we have here to talk about, because I think we'll round off with probably the most controversial one at the end
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
is that Cal Quantrill was released on waivers. He's off the team. I mean, it kind of
Ugh.
here's everything that needs to be known. There was a lot of question marks about why he wasn't traded at the deadline, but according to Craig Mish, who's a reporter for the Marlins and works on FanDuel Network, he said that they simply got no offers for him. That means he simply had no value. I believed, basing it off of past years and comparing it, someone like Lance Lynn in 2023, who was abysmal as well, and was prone to giving up a million home runs to start, had trade value when the Dodgers traded for him and needed pitching. Clearly, nobody wanted Kyle Quantrill, and they kept him around. And what Mish said was that if they continue on with his run, he would have probably stuck around a little more because he's somebody who at least gives them innings. May not be the best innings, but you'd rather
But innings nonetheless.
innings nonetheless, and you'd probably rather his arm giving you the innings than potentially wasting another arm. One of your top pitchers in the minor leagues. And also, he said if they don't, he was gonna be released on waivers. As far as I know, he hasn't been claimed yet. Who knows if he'll go unclaimed the rest of the way? I mean, You'd have to think not, just because I feel like there's somebody who might want somebody to just throw innings down the stretch. But there's a world where he is. I mean, he was a mixed bag, and he didn't have the best
Yeah,
of season. I mean, I
yeah.
don't know if you have any takeaways or anything to add about him, but
There's not really much to say about him. I mean, at the end of the day, it sucks. He did have a nice little run in the season, but you put it the best way possible. He was a mixed bag. Uh, you got some good, you got some bad, and at the end of the day, nobody wanted him. And was he going to benefit us moving forward into next season? Probably not. So
yeah, I
you
mean,
know, it is what it is.
yeah, we weren't gonna bring him back either way, so just move on now and make life easier in the future, I guess, for any moves. And then the last topic, which has been the most controversial, especially of late, is Clayton McCullough and his questionable in-game decisions. I mean, I don't know if you want to start off and add anything or say anything, but
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning of the season that he had some like when it comes to the decisions he makes, and especially as of recent, he makes a lot of decisions that I'm not sure are the smartest. But you and I talked about it a little bit off pod. I don't think that the decisions are necessarily his, to be honest with you. I think that a lot of what's happening is he's being puppeteered by the front office, and they're telling him to play the matchups, they're telling him to play the analytics, much like what was going on in Tampa with Kevin Cash, and he's just following orders. So what are you gonna? I mean, honestly, and if it's a front office issue, that's even more of a problem. So in this case, I don't really know if I could blame McCullough. I don't think
yeah,
it's him.
I mean, because I don't think a different manager would make it as much of a difference.
Yeah.
Like, especially not the way this organization wants to be ran and is supposedly being ran, which is a lot of analytics and a lot of things being discussed. I mean, I mean, it's been noted that McCullough wasn't Peter Bennett's first choice. If you'd love to know his first choice, it I'm not remembering the name right now off the top of my head, but it's the bench coach in Cleveland. They requested to interview him. Cleveland said yes, it was gonna happen, but ultimately he said no. I'm not leaving my job as bench coach, which I don't blame him. I mean, he's honestly playing under he's coaching under one of the best managers to even vote right now, in my opinion. So no really reason to leave. But it's honestly just that I don't think a different manager would make much of a difference. I'm sure at the end of the day, whatever they were looking for in a manager was somebody who could be a good. I mean, I still believe McCullough to be a good clubhouse leader. I haven't necessarily heard any players talk negatively in that sense. So I think when they're in the clubhouse and if somebody, I don't know, needs a manager to talk to, he's a good manager to talk to. But at the same time, I don't think he's the one making majority of these decisions. And you can say that some of these decisions don't add up to the analytics and the data, but it's like I don't know, man. I mean, it might be partly on him, it might be partly on the front office, but I think these are decisions that are discussed. And
You can't uh and sorry to cut you off, but you know, I'd like to believe that if McCullough was the one making the decisions, that after one mistake or two mistakes, you'd be like, okay, something needs to change. But he's doing it over and over and over again, which makes me believe that it's not his choice.
yeah, because
So,
I don't think the thing is, I don't think they're gonna. He's on the hot seat. I don't think he's anywhere near
of course
being
not.
fired. And a lot of comments either made by the owner Bruce Sherman or even Peter Bendix. It sounds like they don't want to go on another manager hunt. So he's probably gonna be here at least for however long his contract is. I There is zero public info on what his contract looks like, but if you look it up, most MLB managers are 3 to 5 years. If you want to take the low end, he's here for 3 years, and he's gonna be here those 3 years. I don't think, unless something major drastic happens between his relationship between the front office and himself, I don't think he gets fired. And on top of
There's
that,
been no talk. There's been no talk of that. I wanted to add that in.
yeah, and on top of that, not only that, but it's like you would think that at some point the front office would tell him something if he's making moves that they're not content with. So you guys can let us know in the comments below how you feel about that. I mean, I think it's a mix. I think some of it might be on him, but at the same time, I think part of it is what's discussed with the front office and how they decide to use certain guys. I mean, I would like to add this, by the way, which I think fits in line with this Clayton McCullough situation of his questionable in-game decisions and whose fault is it really, is that Clint Frazier, if you guys remember him, he was a former Yankees prospect, has recently started his own podcast, and I was listening to it, and he was talking about the Yankees, obviously, because he was a former Yankee, and he was addressing all the fans who say fire Boone. And the thing is, he said, if you're going to fire Boone, there needs to be other people that need to be fired along with him, because he was there as a player and he saw how a lot of decision making went on. And the thing is, and it probably hasn't changed a lot since then, is that he said that when they would make the lineup, Aaron Boone makes his own, then the analytical department makes theirs, and they kind of cross check each other to see if they agree on any moves. And it's most likely than not that the analytical department gets the final say on who bats where. And there's also been another thing that came out. I don't think it was on his podcast, but I read it somewhere else. Is that for a while, Aaron Boone wanted to bat Gleyber Torres leadoff, and the analytical department of the Yankees wasn't on board with that decision. And funny enough, he had Gleyber Torres in his All-Star lineup batting leadoff. So, I mean, I'm not trying to compare the Yankees and the Marlins one for one, but if this is the state of the game that we're looking at and analytics are very important, you'd have to wonder how much of it is on Clayton McCullough's in-game decision and how much of it is what the analytical department is telling him. How much is it that he might see, hey, Ronnie Enriquez is a better reliever, why am I putting in Bayoso in a one-run game? But maybe he's going to get told something later on and reprimanded in the clubhouse, so he doesn't want to deal with it. There's a lot of variables, I think.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree to just put a bow on it. I think, if not all, majority of the decision is not his. It was very clear from the start that Bendix was coming over with a certain mindset, and it was clear from the start what he did in Tampa Bay, um, used with Kevin Cash. So I'm not really surprised that this is happening, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it around the game too. A few years ago, Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays was throwing well, and then he got yanked when he probably should have stayed in the game. I mean, that didn't feel like something the manager would do. And there was a lot of talk that it was coming from upstairs. I mean, we saw it in the World Series when Blake Snell, who was in Tampa at the time, got yanked in like what, the fifth. It's like, again, I have a hard time believing a manager would make that decision, and I have a hard time believing that some of these moves are what Clayton would do if he had full control here.
Well said.
So, anyways, moving on to a lot of MLB news. Um, I mean, there's a lot to get to, so we can start with what Rob Manfred was saying on the broadcast of Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Just to kind of run through the bullet points, he talked about expansion teams, which has been a big topic for the MLB. So it's most likely going to be 2 expansion teams added. That would obviously cause division realignment. So we'd probably get new divisions. He talked about a new playoff format. I don't know if that means expanded playoffs or how that would work. And then he also mentioned that the biggest growth stock that baseball has right now is the World Baseball Classic, which I'd have to agree. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the World Baseball Classic. If you haven't noticed, I wear my Team USA hat a lot on this podcast. So I love it. And if you check out any of like the other content being made on Box the Base on all the short form, I talk a lot about international play. So I mean, I don't know, is there I mean I kinda just wrote in our notes like how do you feel about these comments?
Yeah, I mean, I like the whole idea of the expansion and the division realignment. I think it would make well, A, it would make the travel situation a lot better for a lot of teams because the whole thing of like, for example, like you have Philly and Washington playing in our division, which makes absolutely zero sense. Um, so I think it would make that travel easier on a lot of teams. Expansion teams are always cool. I think that um, baseball would benefit from new teams and new cities getting teams, um, and uh, and it changes things up. I think it makes it more exciting. Um, he didn't really specify a whole lot about the new playoff format, but what like I said, in majority of cases, change is good, and I
Yeah.
think to continue the growth in the sport, change is needed. Um, like I've said before, he did well with the whole pitch clock. I think more people have been able to tune into baseball because of the pitch clock. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with all this, and hopefully, if there's anything that I do hope that comes to fruition is the division realignment. I think that would be pretty cool to get new divisions.
Yeah, honestly, I would kind of I mean to put it more in modern day sports terms, I would kind of hope that the division realignments and all the expansion team talk kind of I would rather see a format like the NBA a little bit, where it's like divisions don't matter as much. And at one point in baseball's history, it was kind of like that. It was American League and it was National League, and you would kind of play your season for the pennant. At that time it was a little different, and the two teams that won their pennant, which was American League and National League, they would kind of just that's your World Series. There was no playoffs, but honestly, I would rather just see something like that where it's AL, NL, and then you kind of like you have the divisions because obviously I know basketball still has their four-team divisions, but they don't really matter, and it's kind of like about the best eight teams that the best eight teams in each league and you play in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that the division is only strictly for who you're gonna play the most throughout the season, and then you leave it to, like you said, the best eight teams. I think that basketball, in the sense, has it right in that format. And if we are heading towards division realignment and expansion and this whole thing, I think that we would benefit from that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be a lot easier because I don't know. I just think it's it gets like sometimes a little like all convoluted when you start seeing who's in the division, who's just make it the best eight teams in each league and you're set 16 teams total and you play it out.
I'm with that for sure. I think that that would be fun for baseball, and it would be a good change.
And I mean you can realign these divisions if you want at that point, but then these divisions wouldn't matter as much and you're not playing for division titles that ultimately they're nice, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the Marlins win one, but ultimately they don't matter. Make the playoffs and see what happens. So that's kind of how I would honestly say new playoff format. No need for expansion necessarily, but you just kind of switch the way that it's made, kind of like the NBA. I know for expansion teams, they kind of talked about Nashville as one of the cities. That'd be an interesting one. I forget the other one that they mentioned, but I mean, honestly, it'd be pretty nice. And then obviously, the last one, which is the World Baseball Classic, that's obviously like a huge event every year. So I don't know if you have any like thoughts you want to add to that one, but I'm always a huge fan, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I think that the World Baseball Classic's probably the best thing that they've done in recent memory. I would agree with that comment. I think that there's the most stock in that right now. And obviously, when this event comes around in March, the talk is going to blow up even more about how to make the event better and stuff. But they definitely have it right with that. I mean, that the event is huge, and honestly, it's only going to keep getting bigger and bigger the more times that they have the event.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it started back in like 2006 and it's grown ever since. And it's fans can say whatever. Like I know one big moment was when last time around Edwin Diaz got hurt celebrating after a win and fans were like, well, why are these players playing? Like it felt like they cared more about their club team than their country team. Which I mean to each their own, be a fan more of whatever side you want, but it's like these players care. These players play because they care. They're not just
100%.
they're not just doing it because for the heck of it. Like they care about the country they're representing, and you're seeing it a lot more this cycle. Like, um, players have been interviewed, and asked about playing in the World Baseball Classic, and a lot of them want to play. A lot of them, are talking to their agent, talking to whoever they need to get in contact with the federation of their country to play, and it matters to them. I mean, the biggest gripe was Team USA, but now we have Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, and Kyle Raleigh. I mean, Bobby Wick Jr. said he'll do it again, so that's already four players that you can count on, and those are four-star players. Um, I mean, guys like Bryce Harper have said they want to play in the Olympics for Team USA, so you'd have to imagine they want to play for the World Baseball Classic too. So I mean, really, it's only gonna matter as much as the players make it matter, of course, and the players are clearly showing that it matters to them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this next one plays out. I think that there's going to be more comp than ever.
Yeah, I mean, the competition definitely just gets better every time. So moving on from that, another big thing that came out that honestly I'm surprised wasn't talked about more and wasn't made more of a big deal considering I think people love their sports drama is that
Yeah.
Apparently teammates are upset with Cattell Marte and the D-backs reportedly are going to be listening to offers this offseason. Now, I want to mention before we get deep dive into this one, teammates can be upset, the team can be upset with him for whatever reason. Well, not whatever reason. I'll get into the reasons in a little bit, but I think he's that good of a player that it's worth dealing with some of the stuff that comes with it. Like unless it's that bad, because he's out there, he plays. I mean, it's not like his performance takes a hit. I mean, so I don't know. I think he's just that good of a player that it might be just worth it to suck it up and deal with it, kind of thing. I do know that the reasoning for that is apparently when during the All Star break when his house was broken into and he reportedly asked for some time off. Apparently, it seemed like he had booked a vacation during the All Star break, and so he missed a few games because of that, even though the report initially was that he asked for some time off because his house was broken into. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you view the situation currently.
I think it's pretty silly. I mean, all indications that we've gotten of Cattell Marte is that he's a good guy. So if people or if the players are mad reportedly, because stuff could be true, stuff could be false. Uh, I forgot who it was that came out in defense of him from the team. Um, but one of the players did. Uh, Listen, it's nobody's fault that Cattell Marte is carrying the D backs and his house got broken into.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of nonsense if that really is the reason. And if you go ahead and you trade Marte, then unfortunately you're heading towards a rebuild. So
Yeah, and you're heading for a total disaster because you're not going to get fans in that stadium for a
of course
while.
not.
But also, I don't really buy the whole D backs listening to offer things. Like they'll listen, they'll probably just for entertainment purposes of their own. They'll see what offers teams throw out there, but I genuinely don't think it's gonna matter like what teams offer. They're probably just like, let's see where he's at. Let's see what teams offer. So I don't really buy into that one too much, and I think it's all just smoke and mirrors. And
Yeah, I don't believe it.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just interesting overall because I don't think any of this is gonna really matter too much, and he's too good of a player in my opinion to really want to like trade away like that, especially because he's on a very team friendly contract. The only situation that can come similar to this, in my opinion, is the Devers situation, but he clearly had issues with the front office, and his contract was a lot larger than this one. So it could have been salary dump for Devers, and also the issues with the front office. I don't think Marte is in any of those or fits any of those two categories.
No, the only reason in my eyes that they would trade him is to go into a rebuild, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and then the other one that was kind of shocking, at least to me, and kind of came out of nowhere, was Zach Wheeler got blood clots. By now, he's already had a procedure done to like remove it and get rid of it, and he's in recovery and doing his treatment. But that's scary. We're we're not only Marlins fans, but we also like to support the Heat, and we know Chris
Yeah.
Bosh had his career basically ended because of blood clots. So honestly, anytime I hear blood clots in general, even if it's not worst case scenario, it kind of scares me a little bit because that's a scary thing. But also on the so prayers and well wishes for his health because that matters. But also on the playoff side, I mean Zach Wheeler has been one of the best playoff pitchers ever, and if he can't recover in time, if he's not ready in time, which I don't know if he will be, it's it's gonna be a blow to the rotation. But I don't know. Do you think it's as big of a blow to the rotation considering who they have in there?
I still think it is. I think that he's been their top performer in the playoffs. Unfortunately, blood clots do tend to knock you out for at least a season. So I don't think he'll be in the rotation. But yeah, like you said, that's a scary type of medical issue to have. So definitely, thoughts and prayers to him.
Yeah, because they have Christopher Sanchez, who I'm surprised wasn't an All Star this year. Who's been throwing the ball well for them. Ranger Suarez, we know how good he's been. But these are guys. Suarez has a bit of postseason experience, and it'll probably force Lazardo to be in the rotation, who's been very shaky at times this year. And his one playoff performance was, funny enough, in Citizens Bank Park when he was a Marlin, and he it wasn't necessarily the best.
Yeah,
And it does definitely hurt you there. You
yeah,
based off of the season that Christopher Sanchez is having, you'd have to feel strong about him throwing a game one. But it's a playoffs. These are different circumstances. Even though it'd be at home, most likely because they're probably gonna win their division. It still raises some
yeah. It
questions,
stinks.
and it's also a fact that the Phillies are kind of their window for winning a World Series and contention is dwindling. You Zach Wheeler said he wants to retire at 37. You have guys like um Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto who are going to be free agents, and that's another thing I wanted to bring up too with this whole Zach Wheeler stuff and their window of contention. If you had to pick between Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto, and you can only re-sign one of them in free agent, who would you pick?
Schwarber.
I do agree because his bat is better, but I'm gonna be honest, I'd probably lean Realmuto because my thing is, where do you find another catcher of that value? And you'd be getting no production from your catcher position
Yeah,
essentially.
bro. But you can't justify signing Romuto over him when, dude, people are talking about Schwarber possibly being MVP, and you're gonna let him walk. I don't know. I wouldn't.
I think they're the type of team that could sign both players, but it's just kind of an I think it's an interesting conversation and perspective to have because I I do agree with the fact that you're talking about Schwarber being MVP. He has over 40 plus homers and everything, but it's just like I don't know, man. It feels very odd to think if they have to pick between the two. I mean, bringing back Schwarber is huge for them, but it's like letting Realmuto walk, and then you kind of create a black hole at catcher in a sense.
Well, and I think that you'll be able to take, I think you'll be able to take Real Muto for way less, being that he's getting up there in age. So the contract that they may be able to give him and other teams will offer him won't be as large as before.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, I don't think it'll matter, but that'll be two free agent players to really look for and monitor, honestly.
For sure.
And then moving on from that, Victor Robles. I'm sure everyone saw the clip because it was all over my timeline on Twitter. He got hit by a pitch and proceeded to throw his bat at the pitcher. Now we don't have no camera angle view because this was in minor league rehab games, but we don't know if the bat hit the pitcher. By now we would have known. Nobody said it hit him, so thankfully the pitcher didn't get hit. But I mean, this isn't. Look, I think it's a little crazy to throw the bat at the pitcher, but I also can see where Victor Robles was just fed up at this point because he's been rehabbing and he's been hit. I don't know, like numerous amount of times during his rehab stint. So it was kind of like something that his frustration and anger boiled over. He was like, I've had enough of being hit, and his immediate reaction was, let me throw the bat.
He had a serious crash out. I mean, I have never seen on a baseball field that kind of crash out before. You know, don't get me wrong, completely inexcusable for him to react that way. But what a hilarious crash out that he had on the field. I mean, I have never seen someone react that way.
I mean,
And
if you think about it, that bat hits the pitcher. That's no longer the league getting in and suspending Victor Robles. He could have pressed charges for him throwing the bat at him. Like he could be facing
it's the type
criminal
of stuff
jail
that could put
time.
you in jail. Yeah, it's the type of stuff that could put you in jail for
Like
assault.
I understand that the frustration boiled over and he was fed up. Like I understand that part of getting hit so much. But if you're gonna do something, charge the mound at least. Don't throw the bat. Like if
Yeah,
anything, charge the mound. I'm not
yeah,
advocating for charging the mound or anything, but if you're gonna do something, at least pick the one that's gonna get you in less trouble.
yeah. I would have had serious legal implications if that bat would have hurt the pitcher.
I mean, cause it wasn't like he like tossed it. He chucked it overhand. That was. I mean, I was stunned when I saw that clip show up on my for you on any social media really, because it was like clip of the night when it happened. But that's just
And it's
ridiculous.
still circulating. And it's
Yeah.
still circulating.
I mean, I haven't seen any updates. I don't know if he's been suspended yet. I'm sure if I do a quick little Victor Robles search right now, I'll find something. But honestly, that is absolutely insane. Let me do a quick little search. Apparently, he was handed. This came out a day ago. 10-game suspension by the MLB for throwing the bat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's fair enough. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna try to appeal it and get it down to 5, but 10 is fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be successful in that appeal either way.
Yeah, and also too, the other side of this is that the Mariners are trying to fight for the division. He was their starting right fielder, I believe, and it's like, and I mean, this guy was a former top prospect. Not saying he hasn't panned out. He hasn't lived up to the hype of being a former top prospect, but I mean, he was playing well ever since he got to the Mariners. Nothing amazing, but average bat. So I mean, come on, man. Your team needed you, and you're out here getting yourself suspended in the midst of a playoff race.
Yeah, you got to be better than that. You got
Like
to be better than that.
I don't know, man. I mean, part of me understands the frustration, but not the reaction to it. Um, the other one is Aaron Judge's injury. So he was injured. He was out for a little bit, thankfully, because we didn't get to see him in the Yankees Marlins series. And he's finally back, but he really hasn't played the outfield much. Apparently, he's had issues with his throwing arm. But I don't know if you saw this, but apparently Aaron Boone came out and said he's not really ready to throw. And then Aaron Judge was like, he hasn't seen me throw, and I'm like there was miscommunication between Aaron Boone and Judge about how healthy his arm is.
Yeah, that's nothing new, unfortunately. That's the same clown. The Yankees this year have been nothing short of a circus.
Yeah,
Um, so not really surprised that that happened, to be honest with you. But what I do know is that Stanton is playing really good right now. So not like Judge has really missed that much in the outfield. So I mean, at the end of the day, Boone is gonna do whatever the hell he wants, obviously. Um, but yeah, not very surprised that that type of miscommunication happened.
yeah. I mean, Stanton has been out of his mind like in the last week or so, but also I don't know how much I'd want to trust him in right field at his age because
Can't even run.
if he's your starting right fielder in a playoff game, I'd be worried. Some people have suggested you try to get key at bats out of Stanton, and then you do a defensive replacement late in the game if you're winning. But man, I mean, what you take him out 7th through 8th, and then what if you need him? It's a very dicey situation, I think. But I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna get interesting. But I would imagine by the end of the year, Judge is probably gonna be back playing right field.
yeah, I mean, I was also thinking if this would impact any of his World Baseball Classic eligibilities because I mean he was the first one and it was super early in the season and at that point, there was still a long season ahead of us. But I
Right.
don't I don't think it will. He'll have the off season to recover and if he's still batting at least because that much he's doing, it's not like he's missing games.
Yeah.
It should be fine. I think. I just find it funny that him him and Boone had a little miscommunication.
It's a classic with the Yankees carousel at this point.
Yeah, and then just kind of to round off this and dwindle down our episode, but there was a lot of talks and about MLB and its rights to streaming and TV deals that I was seeing talking about. Apparently, Apple TV is gonna be fully out when they go to renew these stuff. So Friday night baseball is gonna be gone, and I saw a lot of people happy about that because apparently the broadcast team for that is terrible. I honestly can agree. Yes, the main broadcast team, but the one good thing that it brought was that you were able to switch to your local broadcast team or a radio team while watching the video feed. So that was kind of nice. And also they had cool stats like displayed on the screen, which I thought were pretty nice. But I guess if Apple TV's out, Apple TV's out. Apparently, NBC and Peacock are gonna try and take that from Apple TV. Fill the slot for that. And then there's been talks about MLB TV being sold to ESPN, which is interesting. I just hope that can get rid of blackout restrictions. Because if you get rid of blackout restrictions, dude, I might even consider getting MLB TV at that point. Like, what's the point of me getting MLB TV and I can't even watch the Marlins game because I'm in the local market for the channel?
And let's be honest, man. Nobody wants to buy Bally. Nobody wants to buy.
Nobody wants
Sorry,
to buy.
FanDuel.
Yeah, nobody wants to buy FanDuel, man. Like, come on, man. Um, don't ask me how I watch my games, dude. That's none of your business. But and then the other one is that apparently Netflix wants to get the home run derby. So I mean, Netflix is getting into everything.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you. I don't really care about Apple being out. I've always heard that Friday Night Baseball on Apple sucks anyway. Um, but let me tell you that NBC Peacock Money Tree must be unlimited because they just secured the NBA in this last rights deal.
Yeah,
So So let me tell you, NBC and Peacock, the money tree is unlimited.
Yeah,
So
it's unlimited, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised with ESPN. They're owned by the mouse.
yeah,
You know, the good old mouse up there in Orlando and in California and in wherever he wants to reside. But
yeah,
so yeah, man, it doesn't surprise me at all, and it'd be interesting to see how that works out. I mean, I don't personally care where a lot of these things end up. I'm gonna be honest. So long as you eliminate blackout restrictions, because honestly, hey, you'd be getting more people to buy MLB TV, and like I
a
said,
thousand percent,
I'd probably do it if you got rid of blackout restrictions and I can watch any game at any moment. Because
100%.
I've used MLB TV for the free uh, game of the day, and it's honestly a pretty nice platform. It's not crappy. Like it doesn't. I've never ran into any issues. So
Yeah, but uh, you got to get rid of the blackout restrictions. Enough is enough about that.
so yeah, I mean that'll kind of round out the episode here. You guys can let us know your thoughts on a lot of this. There was a lot of MLB news that we talked about. Um, yeah, you guys can let us know your full thoughts on a lot of these news that we covered here. Yeah, that'll basically round out the episode. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe, share on any platform that you guys, you know, can. And until next time.